What's going on, everyone? Yes, today is another toy review, and yes, the man that stands in front of you is Guts, or also known as Gutsu. Now, Guts is from an epic manga slash anime slash animated film, and also 2 games, one on Dreamcast and one on PlayStation 2. Now, this character is definitely one of the most epic characters in the manga world, or at least to me, rather. But beyond all that, now this figure I already had for quite a bit, and I actually did a review on it a while back, but I had to redo the review because it had to get erased for certain purposes. So I'm able to actually give you a brand new, up-to-date, and also actually get to show you how the character held up over time for me actually owning it. So this is going to be very informative, and I hope this review actually helps out. So if you never had this figure in your collection, maybe this might help you decide to get this figure, or maybe skip out on this figure. So jumping right into it, let's look at detail. So good old Guts here is in his Berserker armor. Now this figure is made by Figma, and they did an amazing job dealing with detail. I mean, they nail it. It looks exactly like the character in the books. Really, really good job. Detail is there. Like, I really, really enjoy this figure. It's probably still my favorite, or one of my favorite out of my top 5 of Figmas that I own. Now this figure is actually limited. They didn't make as many as they made the other versions, so this one is kind of considered like more of a holy grail. The only thing is not, because realistically you can go on eBay and find them, and believe it or not, the Black Soldier Guts version is actually more expensive than this version of Guts. So having it right there, unless they come out with the movie, they pose to come out with another film, unless they come out with the movie showing this armor, I really don't think this armor is going to be so prominent as the standard Guts design with him in his, you know, black outfit or whatever, just because most people either A, haven't seen this version because they mainly only seen the animes, or the animated TV series rather. So they really don't know nothing about this version. They might heard of it or seen of it, but they really don't know the origin of it, and that can constantly be a downer sometimes, because sometimes people won't buy stuff unless they know where it came from. I'm definitely one of those people. I have a tendency to actually skip out on certain things if I really don't have no interest in it, either A, because I don't know what it is, or B, I didn't like the material that it came from. So depending on the case, that can keep a price down a little bit. It's definitely more than what it cost when it first came out, but it's nowhere near the cost of the Black Swordsman version. He's almost close to 200. I've seen people sell him for 200, and I've seen some people had him for 150, which is like outrageous, but I mean, it is what it is. People capitalize on other people all the time when they don't pick up something. So it's always good to kind of get your figure when you can, because like, for example, this particular figure was, I think, 60 or 70 bucks when it came out. Been a minute, can't really remember. I paid like 130 for them because I actually lost my pre-order, so I had to get them on the aftermarket. So yeah, if, like I said, if you can pick the character up and it's not too bad of a cost for you, it's definitely a nice character. So that is a full 360 of good old Guts. Now we're going to do a height comparison. Zoom out real quick for you. So Guts stands about, let me lighten this up for y'all. There we go. Guts stands about, if not wrong, a little bit over 6 inches. About like 6.5. I know he's not 7, but he's about 6.5 inches tall. This is the Black Swordsman Guts, so you can kind of see the height comparison right there. They're pretty much on the same scale height. And then you look at the 12-inch version of Guts from Metacom, and that's how tall the Figma Guts figures come to. All right, I'm going to move him out of the way. And let's go ahead and move Berserker Guts. I mean regular Guts. Oh, all right. Now getting into his accessories, I'll show you what this figure has to offer dealing with accessory wise. Now Guts already has, let me zoom up so I can show you. Guts already have some kind of like action style relaxed hands that his already have. So that's one set right there. In total, this figure comes with a whopping 7 hands, 7 sets rather. You have, bring up to the camera real quick. You're going to receive like some real basic relaxed hands. You're going to get some sprawled out hands. Normally it's for the pose when he actually like either land after doing like some flips or whatever the case may be, or getting ready to run and dash off towards the enemy. So you get those style hands with it, which is really nicely detailed. You're going to get these, which is ball fist, then a tight grip for the sword. Then you're going to get a slightly relaxed grip. I'm going to actually turn them sideways so you can see what I'm talking about. This one is like a, like I said, tight grip, a slightly relaxed grip. See, the hands is not actually closed off, where in this part the hands are actually closed. And then you're going to get a super relaxed grip, which is, let me see, there you go, so you can actually see it, where it kind of allows you to have the sword laying a little bit more forward. So that is all of the hands that you get. They're all on pegs. They're not like the new versions of Figmas, where the hands are actually peg holes and they're placed onto pegs on the body. These actually still have the pegs attached to the hand. So that's how those hands work. And you're also going to receive his blade. And the blade color is actually different from the other Berserk figures, or the other Berserk figure rather. This one has like a bluish greenish tint, kind of to match to his getup. Now if you look at the old version of the sword, now mind you, I did do some custom painting on this sword solely because I have 2 versions of Guts. Well, I actually have 2 of the same Guts, so I played around with one and customized it. So, but just to kind of get the idea, it's actually made different. All right. So you're going to get that. You're going to receive his little pal here. Now, she is in the manga as well. Let me tone this down so we can actually see her. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. So now we can actually see her. So she's like a little spiritual entity. She's not dead, but when she's in this form, she pretty much keeps Guts from going berserk and massacring everybody, and also coming back from going into berserk mode, because the armor actually drives him insane, and over time he actually kind of loses himself. So she kind of keeps him on point. Now, the only articulation that this has, you can do a full 360 with the head. That is the only articulation that this figure or add-on comes with. Now the way this works, which is the other accessory, a really big accessory actually, let me come back a bit, it's the cape. And I'm gonna go ahead and brighten this back up so y'all can see it. Alright, so the cape is extremely nicely done. Like, they did a really good job on the cape. The details on the cape is nice and solid. It looks good. What I said before on my review when I first did this, still, I'll say it again, this cape is really nicely done, but if you was to drop this cape, I'm pretty sure this will crack on you. This cannot hold up to a fall, so you really want to be careful when actually posing your character with this particular cape on, or have them somewhere secure or use an actual stand. Now, the way it works, this pegs into Guts' back, and she actually pegs onto this little hole that you see that's on the collar, or go close to the collar. And what she does is hang right over Guts' shoulder. because that's how she normally is in the books. Let me go ahead and focus for you. Sorry about that, y'all. So yeah, it's pegged directly on, and it just looks like she's on his shoulder, kind of guiding him from not killing his friends. All right, so you get that. Let's go ahead and move her off 1 second. You're gonna receive an extra head. Now, the thing about the extra head, this is how it works. It's actually broken off into 2 pieces. When I first got this figure, I actually couldn't tell where it was able to get changed until I got to messing with it. So it was really, really hidden very well. Now you can see it because, like I said, this figure has been with me for a while. So stuff is not as it was when it first got out the box. So what you do is, first of all, before I even remove the head, I want to show you. This part of the face comes off. All right. Which reveals Guts' face, which is actually the exact same face on this one, just with the head cut off, or the hair cut off to fit it in there. Now, at first, when I first seen this, I was like, why would they have this being removable when there's no other faceplate? And what I really do think, I think somewhere down the line, they probably changed their mind at the last second. This was going to be able to be removed. And anybody that knows the books knows that before it kind of looked like a slight dog face, it was a skull face at one point. I believe that they were going to give the skull face with the figure, and they probably pulled at the last second and decided not to, because this doesn't make any sense to allow us to be able to take this off, because you have no other face scopes to put under there. It's kind of pointless. So for the only reason why you would want to have this with the capability of coming off is if you was planning on giving it another face. And that's the only way that can be the reason. But beyond all that, the way this works is you pull the head off, all right, which is on a nice little peg. That comes off. And then this piece that you see, you can take your fingers between both sides and just pull forward, and this comes off. All right. When that's pulled off, it comes with another part. Now, the reason why you have this is because if you notice on the other one, the part that got pulled off has a bottom jaw, which that's how the head, when Guts is in his regular mode, can actually move. And this one doesn't have a bottom jaw. Well, the reason being, this one is the full-fledged Berserker face. Go ahead and pop this on so I can show you. There we go. And that is how it looks. There we go. So really, really nicely done. I still like this a whole lot. You're even able to open the mouth. So if you lift the head up a bit, you can actually open the mouth really wide on there. So this is really, really nicely done. I like this a whole lot. That's why it's probably one of my favorite figures. So that is all the accessories that you're going to receive with the Berserker version of Guts. Now, as for articulation wise, this is going to be about how it held up over time and also the improvements they made from the other Guts figures. So starting with the head itself with articulation, he can move his head about that far down with the mouth closed, about that far up with the mouth closed. All right, and then clearly you can open the mouth. As for a tilt, he can tilt it a little bit. And he can do about that much of a turn before it starts hitting the rubber cape part of it. All right, moving down to the shoulders. The shoulders are on a weird system. It's actually a ball joint in the chest. Let me zoom out a bit so I can actually show you a little bit better. There's a ball joint in the chest, which is attached to a hinge, which is attached to a peg into the arm. So you're able to actually move the shoulders a little bit back, a little bit forward, and then going up, it goes about that far up which is not much because his suit hinders most of the movement, solely because these two parts are connected where this part isn't. Solely because if that was connected, it'd probably be a little bit harder to maneuver. So they made it a separate joint, a separate piece of plastic altogether. Going down to the elbow, he bent about that far, which is actually really good. Now, going down to the wrist, it can do a full 360, and the peg is on the hinge, so you have a nice range of motion when it comes to the hands. Now, if you're going back up to the body part, one thing that was a huge improvement was because he has so much space where the shoulder is able to come back and forward. If you look at the old Guts, this is hard plastic, so this actually got in the way a lot. You were able to move his arms a little bit forward, but it still kind of hindered him a lot, where this one doesn't have any type of problem of putting the arm a lot more forward than what this arm is capable of going. So that was the improvement when it came down to this particular version. Now coming down to the admin, this one also have an ab crunch, where the original that came out can't do it due to the suit. So it didn't have an ab crunch spot. Both versions had a waist joint. Now this one doesn't have a huge range of motion when it comes down to the waist due to the fact that the way the suit is designed, where the other one, because he didn't have an ab crunch, he had a better motion right down on the belt line. So that was your trade-off that you was getting when you received this figure. Going down to the legs actually goes out about, I'm gonna say about that far. You can probably push it. I wouldn't suggest it just because most of his armor is in the way of stuff and you don't want to scrape stuff up. And I'll get into that, dealing with scraping of paint or just in general dealing with the paint job. Going out to the sides, not too much far of a range of motion at all. Okay, you can do slight rotations and maybe help you out a little bit to kind of get around certain obstacles, but overall the armor actually hinders a lot of the leg movement dealing with the hip area. Going to the knee had great range of motion. It actually has a real solid bend on it. Really good, really nicely done. What's nice about this too, they took a Griffith route. The Griffith figure actually had like a little slight loop that's looped around the joint itself, which kind of gave a more natural look when you bend the leg. So this was really, really nice. I enjoyed this whole design. Going down to the ankle, his ankle is able to do a slight pivot, which I can show you. You can get a nice range on the pivot when it comes down to keeping his feet planted. You go about that far down, that far up. And in this version of the Guts, he actually had got a toe hinge, where the original did not come with a toe hinge, nor I think the other version did. And I think Griffith didn't even come with a toe hinge if I'm not wrong. So this figure actually came with more articulation than the others. But that is the articulation with this entire figure. So just for feedback on how this character holds up over time, for the most part, I'm going to go ahead and have to be realistic with you. It's going to be a 50-50. And the reason why I'm saying it's a 50-50 is because realistically, it still looks good. But the time kind of eats away at it. And I didn't even have this character out of the box due till I knew that it was limited. So I didn't want to actually have it out. I didn't even have it in display at all. I didn't have it displayed at all. I did take photos of it, but I didn't put it in any harsh conditions, so it shouldn't have been having these type of issues. But if you look directly, some of the stuff is weathered because it was meant to be weathered. Some stuff is clearly not weathered. It's just bad paint over time. So these chips that you kind of see, those are chips that's just over time. Now this one, I'll take that back. This is definitely over time. This right here can come from paint rub because of where the admin move. But this has no reason to actually have that problem. Do it bother me? Not really, solely because it's armor and it kind of gives a nice weathered look to it, so it don't really, I'm not really mad about it. It's just kind of bad that it doesn't hold up like it should, especially it being limited and being the most expensive out of the series. So if I had to say, will I still pick it up? If you can find it for a good cost, yeah, I absolutely would pick it up. It's like I said, once again, I really enjoyed the character design. I really like the figure a lot, and you can pull off some really nice photos with this figure. So that being said, I hope this review actually helped out. For the people that already seen this review, thank you for coming back. Oh, one thing I almost forgot. One of the other accessories that it came with, if you want to consider it as an accessory, like I said back in the day, it's kind of like a picture book, because if you don't read Japanese, you kind of just shit out of luck. It comes with the actual manga of issue 37. And let me see if I can zoom in on it real quick for y'all. Of issue 37. So this was like a promotional book that came with the figure, which was kind of cool. And it came with some postcards. I'll show that to you real fast. So that was one of the postcards that it came with. Some really nice artwork on there of Guts. And then you received another postcard. Where did I stick it? Oh, here we go. And that's the other postcard. And just to kind of give you the idea of Berserk artwork in the mangas, it's really nicely done. So if you've never read any of the mangas, trust me when I say this, when you read the mangas, you kind of start looking down on some of the animated TV series, because it really don't show the quality that the mangas put out. So this is a really nice series. If you never read it, you should definitely give it a try. But that is all of the accessories. And what I was saying before I got interrupted by thoughts, I did this review before, and pretty much I just want to do this over again due to some people may not have seen it before, or one, I actually really enjoyed the review when I first did it, and I was upset that I actually had to remove it. But I mean, it is what it is. I just want to have it back in the arsenal of videos that I've done, and you will see actually quite a bit more old videos come back with better quality. So the ones that I know for a fact have been better, I'm going to redo those reviews and erase the old ones off, just because the better camera quality is there now, because I have a new camera. So now there's no excuse why you can't see certain details. But that's mainly it. So hopefully this review is still enjoyable to y'all, and thank you for checking it out. And for people that came back to check it out again, once again, thank you. And I truly appreciate y'all coming to the page and giving me thumbs up, letting me know how y'all feel about the figures and everything else. I'll have photos at the end as always, and I hope y'all have a great day. Take care.